I recently did a live stream not too long ago, and me and Chat landed on the topic of bullying, and I likened it to Hajime no Ippo. And I brought up an instance in my life as a kid when I got bullied, and it sort of was relatable or similar to the part in Hajime no Ippo where his bullies kind of wanted to become friends with him and realize that he's not the kid anymore or the person anymore, the guy anymore that they can just bully, into submission or, whenever they feel like it. And I liken this to a situation in my life. But before I get into that story, I think we're doing a huge disservice to current generations, even my generation, even though I'm a 90s baby. We're doing a huge disservice to trying to create a over-coddled, politically correct, never find anything offensive society. And it's not preparing people for the notion of or the idea of bullying, because you can't eradicate bullying from society. What will only happen is that the concept of bullying would just move inwards, as far as like what people considered offensive nowadays would be considered laughable when I was growing up. So what people find funny today is considered offensive tomorrow. And I think this is the consequence of, like I said, an overcoddled society, first world problems, trying to manufacture reasons to find everything offensive and complain about. I think the proper way of dealing with all this is preparing people for the idea and notion of bullying. And I think that was the beauty of Hajime no Ippo, even though, he really got bullied in the worst ways. And I think sometimes that's a good example to draw from, because, he was somebody who didn't cower. He did cower at first, because that's what he felt shame when the guy would make fun of his mom, but he didn't cower as far as like just folding over. He wanted to become better. He wanted to become more. He wanted to become the type of person you can't bully. And that's what got him into boxing. And that's why I think that anime is so inspirational and so motivational. It's the reason why so many YouTube motivation videos are based off Hajime no Ippo. That's a story that I think, for real, I think every boy should grow up watching. And I liken it to myself, where I remember, and this is what I talked about on live stream, I remember, going to an overnight camp every summer for 2 weeks. My parents would send me out to overnight camp for 2 weeks every summer, from the age of maybe 8 to 14. Every summer I would go. And I remember it was this one summer, it would be a group of kids separated in bunks, maybe like 10 kids to a bunk. And I remember this one summer, it was just one kid or a group of kids that would always give me a hard time, but it was just one especially, and they would just kind of all follow in lockstep behind this one kid. Every night, this dude would give me a hard time. And conflict, we're damn near about to fight, or we did fight. Every night, it would just be a headache to deal with. I can actually laugh about it now, because we became cool eventually, but I'll tell you how we became cool. I remember it was one instance, because I always had somewhat of a workout routine even when I was younger. So I would do like crunches on my bunk bed that I was staying in the bunk. And I remember he had one remark where he said, "You may got a 6-pack, but I will pack your 6-pack." And it's funny now when I think about it, as an adult, like, my later years, it's funny. So like every night it would be like just kids just giving me a hard time, or a group of kids really giving me a hard time, but he would be the main one antagonizing and instigating the situation, like daring me to like just do anything so he can have a reason to just let off on me, And I remember watching Hajime no Ippo, and I was like, damn, I kind of relate to that. And I remember it was one day during this 2 weeks where I think they separated the kids, like as far as like time gap. So this time people would play football, around this time people would go hiking. So me and him got linked up playing football together, and I think we were on opposite teams. This was a real long time ago. And I'm used to playing football with my friends, and back home in recess we would play throw up. We would just get somebody's head, throw it up in the air, whoever catches it has to do a touchdown. And we would play football all the time, so football is not like a foreign thing to me. So I remember I was killing it in this game. I was catching all the balls and everything, and he was killing it. I think he was on the opposite side of the team, if I remember, where we became like the two best players. And they had I remember the counselor, he was like, all right, man, we got to stop passing it to so-and-so. He's catching every ball. Let's get some of the other kids, because it was just too easy. Like the other kids couldn't like keep up. I don't mean to brag, but it was just, I was just shining or whatever. So after this football game, during the game, we started to become cool with each other, like giving each other a high five, like, yo, great catch, yo, good touchdown. And I remember after the game, we were walking, I think, to the pool, because I think it was pool time, or we were walking to lunch to the dining room, or the cafeteria, I meant. And I remember, or no, we was walking back to the bunks. And I remember he came up to me, he was like, hey man, good game, man. That was a lot of fun. And he came up to me, he was like, hey man, I just want to apologize. I'm sorry for giving you a hard time, man. I know I've been giving you a hard time every day, damn near every night, and just trying to intimidate you or whatever. And during the times he would try to bully me or whatever with the other guy, like, I would always just stand up for myself and just like not let him intimidate me. So he apologized to me. He was like, man, I was just kind of jealous of you, man. It's this one girl that likes you, and me and some of the other guys were just jealous of you because this girl liked you. And I was like, oh, you mean so and so? I mean, yeah, it was a real like beautiful Puerto Rican chick that all the guys wanted in the summer camp. Like, God. And so he apologized to me, and it really showed like, yo, he was just insecure. Like, that's the reason why he was trying to start a fight with me every night, damn near. And I remember a few times we actually rumbled. Like, we got in a few fights, not just me and him, but like sometimes, like, man, I remember a group of kids tried to fight me at one time, but he was like, yeah, man, he apologized to me, let me know like, yo, man, it's just that girl liked you. I was jealous of you, as far as the rest of the guys too. And I remember at the start of this camp, and we became cool. I was like, hey man, it's all good. Man, he was like, man, and we talked about football. Like, I'm not a big sports guy, but we talked about like, yo, you must play at home or whatever. I'm like, yeah, me and my friends play sometimes, and we just became cool over a game of football. And it reminded me of that scene where Ipo's bully wanted to become friends with him, but then he wanted to admit to him. He wanted to apologize to Ipo after they became real cool. And I really related to that scene where I'm like, damn, I actually been through that. And it took like Ipo, when he realizes Ipo is this competent fighter, he's coming to his matches, to his fights, he's like, damn, he's kind of cool. That reminded me of like when I played football with this dude, and me and him became cool through football. Like, yo, this dude isn't no pushover. Like, he's good at football, I'm good at football, so we just became cool through that. And I was like, damn, man, that's the beauty of anime too, man. It touches on themes. That's why I really hate when people say anime is like our kid cartoons. It's not like SpongeBob. Like, anime has themes that can be carried out through life, where I can even watch it as an adult and still relate to Hajime no Ippo. It just has those themes. And I think, if I ever have kids and I have sons, I want to watch that anime with them. I want to watch it. It really captures the essence of like adolescence, of a boy growing into adulthood, wanting to be more. And it's funny that I remember when he said, yo, that one girl liked you. I'm like, oh, so-and-so, I think her name was Delilah. And I remember when me and the girl first talked, it was like the first few days of camp. I was playing on the swings with this other kid. Like, of course I was attracted to girls, but my mind wasn't like solely focused on girls back then. And I remember the first few days, all the guys would just hound this one girl. They were all trying to talk to her, going out of their way to impress her. And I remember just playing on the swings, me and this other kid, we were trying to see who can jump the highest off the swings, or swing the highest up and jump at the highest peak and see who can land the best. And I remember I was just being a kid. And I remember she came over to the swings like, oh my God, all your friends are like, they're all trying to talk to me. And then she came over to me and we started talking. But I'm like being a kid, like, hey, you want to play on the swings with me? Like, just a clueless, oblivious kid. And then she was like, yeah, how come you're not with them? I'm like, well, I'm just playing on the swings with so-and-so. I forgot the kid, the name of the other kid I was playing with. And then she kind of started taking a liking to me, where she, and I think that really pissed off a lot of the guys. And I remember saying this in my live stream, and I forgot who it was. I think it was Comment, where he said, hey man, you living out of the protagonist of a harem anime. And I was like, oh shit, that does sound like a harem anime. Or the backstory or the plot of a harem anime, or the protagonist, where the one guy who isn't trying to get the girl ends up liking him or whatever. Now that I'm thinking of it, that's a pretty good plot though, for real. That's a pretty good plot for him. Yo, don't steal my idea. Everybody listening, don't steal my idea. That's actually a pretty good idea for a harem anime. But I remember, like, out of nowhere, the guy started giving me a hard time, and me and her became real close. But I don't think we never became a thing. But obviously, like, we became real cool throughout the 2 weeks of the camp, where we were almost inseparable or whatever. And I remember a lot of the guys were giving me a hard time, and I just didn't know why. Like, man, why is all these guys giving me a hard time? And he told me, like, yeah, I was jealous of you. Me and that's why we kind of give you a hard time every day and night, damn near. And that's something that also I wanted to speak on, is that I think we're doing a disservice to guys too. Like, this example is a prime example of how guys kind of bond. Like, guys don't bond as far as like sitting them in a circle and just having them talk about their feelings. Like, me and him bonded through a game of football. Like, I think guys kind of bond through doing something and being productive, like changing a tire, like sports. Like, guys bond through activity and talking. You know, guys don't really communicate just sitting down and just talking about each other's feelings. Of course, there is a degree of that can be helpful, but I remember this one time, like, it just made me think, like, damn, that was like a moment where like we just bonded through a game of football. Like, we just kind of saw each other like, damn, we were like the two stars of that game. And I think that speaks to a bigger misconception, just in today's society, of just not only doing a disservice to society as a whole, trying to create a over-coddle society and politically correct society, always say everything nice, don't say fat, say overweight or nice. I think overweight is now offensive. It's like, that's what I'm saying. To always move inwards. I don't even know what's the correct language. Like, you can't say homeless person, that's offensive. You got to say unhoused person. Like, it always move inwards as far as what is considered the appropriate thing to say, and that's why I think it's the wrong approach. You don't try to make reality safe. You prepare people for the reality that is inevitable so they know how to deal with it. And I think that's no coincidence why we have such a social anxiety driven society or reality right now. So yeah, but that's all my thoughts. This is why I usually like taking notes, because I ramble a lot and all my videos will be this long. Ain't no telling how long this video is as I'm recording this, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you kind of understood how I related to Hajime no Ippo, and as far as the idea of bullying and why Ippo, I think even today, is considered a classic character and a classic story of how somebody who was really bullied in the worst way. I mean, my experience can't compare at all to his, where he, like, damn, that first episode, Jesus. But this is a kid who wanted to be better. He didn't want to become the type of person that could be bullied. And I kind of liken him to Captain America as well. If you watch Captain America, the first movie with Chris Evans, where the guy who gave him the serum said, you're the perfect person because you're not somebody who's going to abuse this power that's been given to you. You're somebody who's going to use it for the right causes. And that's what Ippo does. And that's like the philosophy of like martial arts as far as Eastern philosophy, whereas we're not training you to become a competent fighter to abuse it or become a bully. It's so that you don't have to fight. And Ippo, in that one scene where his bully's trying to bully him for the very last time, he clearly can uppercut him, but he walked off and didn't allow him to. And his bully realized that, like, damn, this guy could have just done me in and I could have been knocked out. So I think that's another, important lesson to take away from Hajime no Ippo. Such a good anime, man. And this is something that, Western, I used to get from Western entertainment as well, but now everything has become so dogmatic and, politically correct. They don't speak to the human experience anymore. And anime still does that to a huge degree, in my opinion. Of course, you have the isekai, even isekai animes, like they always have a a classic example of a male character who starts from nothing and becomes everything, so whatever. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. That's all I have for this one. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. If you haven't already, check out my music on Spotify. If you love those Samurai Champloo, lo-fi Malaboom Bad vibes, definitely give it a listen. And I'll see you in the next video. Free think. Peace.